Oh, I have to bring my
Yeah,
notes.
yeah, yeah.
I'll call to order this January 16th, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of Education. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have roll call?
Elizabeth Dauberman.
Here.
Mary Lee Hall. Samantha Hall.
Here.
William Hall. Jeremy Hash.
Here.
Jennifer Henkel.
Here.
Nathan Henkel.
Here.
James Holly.
Here.
Joseph Wilson.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item 2.01, approval of the January 16th, 2025 board agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item 3.01, I'll entertain a motion to approve the December 5th, 2024 minutes.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on those? Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, that motion carries. Moving on to item 4, our student representative report.
Thank you. So not terribly too much here because it's a pretty slow part of the winter, but tomorrow there will be a STEM summit, which is a great chance for the freshmen to try out all the different types of sciences offered here at Susquehannock High School. There will also be, sorry, wrong date for that. On the 20th, a day off for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And the following day, the 21st, report cards will be available. And the 23rd of January is scholarship info and Dollars for Scholars Night. And the 24th is mental health awareness boys basketball game. And Avidum partnered with the boys team and the girls team previously. I think they already had their game. And they will be warming up in green to show support for teen and athlete mental health. And then on January 30th, I'm very excited to announce the Winter Carnival, organized by Student Council. There will be local food vendors, games, and activities run by clubs and organizations from within the school and community. And paired with that is the one-act play. The theater department will be performing Beauty is a Beast. I'm not sure the storyline behind that, but I'm excited to watch that. And then moving into February, there will be the Life After SHS Career Exploration Night at 5:30 p.m. and the Winter Band Concert the following night on February 6th for the high school and middle school at 7 p.m. And then the SHS Curriculum Fair at 6 p.m. and Student Council will be providing dinner for that on February 12th. And the last date here is February 19th, and that will be the Battle of the Buildings. Also very excited for that. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 5.01, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Bryson for this.
Thank you, President Hinkle. Appreciate it. Tonight we recognize our school board as volunteers of the community. Each and every one give a ton of time and energy throughout the school year to help us, lead us, and make the district great as it has been and will continue to be. And January is a month that we show appreciation towards our school board. So this evening, to recognize our school board members, we have special additions to the elementary school libraries, which will be shared in recognition of the dedication and commitment of our school board directors. And those are books that they will receive this evening. Our elementary school librarians/media specialists are here this evening with several of their students who will be presenting amazing books. There is also a token in each of your places for each valued board director when enjoying a favorite book of their own. The elementary school principals will look forward to hearing from each of our board members, as we also invite each board member to read their book in front of one of the elementary school classrooms at the appropriate grade level for the book that you receive. So please reach out to the building level principal, and they'll be flexible with when you might be able to come in and enjoy that time with the students. So first up this evening, I have Mrs. Chilcote from Friendship. I'll have you come up with your students.
Wendy would also like to.
Wendy is more than welcome to come up and join.
Guess who doesn't want to go first? We would like to thank you for your time tonight as we recognize your hard work and effort on behalf of our students here at Southern York County School District. We appreciate your dedication to the betterment of our students and their lifelong journey of learning through reading. Tonight, we have the opportunity and privilege to bring our wonderful students from Friendship, Southern, and Shrewsbury, who have demonstrated a love of reading and listening to stories. They have a book that will be placed in our libraries in your honor, and it is our hope that you will come and visit to read the book aloud to the class.
Thank you, Wendy. First, I have from kindergarten, Allie Crodel. If you would like to come over, Allie. Allie will be presenting The Snow Thief to Jen Henkel. Perfect, thank you. I'm going to take the handles and I'm going to walk with you to show you where she is. Okay. Well, she's coming to you. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for all that you do. If you would like to stand on this side now, so you can stay up here. Second, I have Everett Boffman from first grade. He is presenting the book 20 Questions to Mr. Nathan Henkel. See the handles there? Last but not least, I have Tenley Grove. She is a second grade student, and she's presenting When the Moon Became the Moon. And she's presenting to Mr. Jeremy Hash. This way. Oh, there he is. Great job. Fantastic job, Friendship students. You can follow me back, okay? Would you like to go next?
No, I believe Mrs. Flanagan is next.
Good evening. On behalf of Southern Elementary School, I have Brianna Connor here to present to Miss Marilee Hall, The Snow Thief. I have second grader Rowan 9 here to present 20 questions to Mr. Bill Hall.
Thank you, young man.
And we have second grader Nicholas Vitok here to present to Mr. Jim Hawley, When the Moon Became the Moon. Thank you so much. Yeah.
And from Shrewsbury this evening, we have Aiden Fryart, and he's our kindergarten friend, and he's going to be presenting The Snow Thief to Mrs. Elizabeth Dalberman. I have Jocelyn Randall, who is going to be presenting 20 questions to Mr. Joe Wilson, because we have lots of questions in first grade. And finally, Paige Armstead is going to be presenting When the Moon Became the Moon to Samantha Hall. She is my chief scientist. Again, thank you for all of your hard work and dedication for our students here at Southern York County School District.
So thank you all again for all the time and energy that you put into this role and making Southern the best it possibly can be. Please don't forget, reach out to me and we'll get you hooked up to go in the classroom. For those that were able to do it last year, I think they had an awesome time and had dialogue with the kids, and it was a fantastic experience for all involved. So appreciate it. To all the families, you're what makes your little ones special, and hopefully we can continue to do everything we can do to create an experience and opportunity for them to grow and excel as they go from elementary to middle to high. And I'll say this, I'm sure he's going to say it in a second, you do not have to stay for the meeting, nor are we expecting that. So thank you so much.
But you are welcome.
Thank you, everybody. Good night. Class careful.
We're kind of a meeting here, Jim.
So once our superintendent returns, we'll resume our regularly scheduled board meeting. There's one more item.
Friendship for National Honor Society.
Oh, okay, cool. There's a
Very well behaved.
Is you can, okay, then, so. Okay, I can just do that now. Oh, okay. All right. I've just been informed we can actually proceed without him for a little bit. We wanted to take a moment to recognize a director who served on the board for many years. There's one member here who actually has an overlapping tenure with that board director. So, Mr. Hawley, I think you are prepared to say a few words.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Ron Gronke was a beloved member of our community, and on December 20th, 2024, he passed. And we mourn his loss and reflect on his positive impact on our school district and the broader community. He dedicated his time and passion to Southern York County School District, serving on the district's board of directors from 2007 to 2021. He also sat on the Lincoln Intermediate Authority and was chair of the Athletics and Extracurriculars Committee for some of his tenure. He served alongside his wife, Jerry, and she served on our school board for 25 years. Ron served for 14 years. Our thoughts and our condolences go out to his family and friends, and his presence will be missed. But his legacy of service to our district will be long remembered.
Thank you, Mr. Holland. All right, moving on to item 5.02, I will turn it over to Dr. Reppert.
Thank you, President Henkel, School Board. Happy New Year's, everyone. Sorry I missed you at the December meeting, but Caleb and Dr. Bryson did a wonderful job filling in for me. I mean, Caleb did. But I'm glad to have our students and staff back here at school. And though we had a few days that have been impacted by the weather, I know our staff and students are back in the swing of things within the district. Continuing with my focus of safe, supportive, and collaborative culture. Under safety, our schools are continuing to focus on level one, the safe, supportive, and collaborative culture in the buildings. Each of our schools are focusing on the aspect of maintaining a safe learning environment for all the students, and I know our administrators and teachers appreciate the support. And as I've said before, if our schools know about it, our schools can do something about it. But also, if you witness and observe something positive, that's also a time to please take the time to share it and acknowledge it, because that, I know our staff and our administration do appreciate that. As our high school building project is coming to close, I wanted to thank all the parents for their flexibility with the traffic patterns, with the high school and the new drop-off in the front. After meeting with our administrators and safety personnel, all provided some real positive feedback with the new traffic procedures in the front of the school. Under the supportive section, I wanted to thank Mr. Jones, who is our orchestra director for the secondary, for supporting 4 of our orchestra students that participated in the PMEA District 7 Orchestra in Manheim Township this month. Congratulations goes out to Jacob Iwanowitz, Harrison Mabon, Charlie Schaefer, and Logan Trimble. And according to Mr. Jones, they all did a phenomenal job. And finally, I want to congratulate Harrison Mabon, who ranked 3rd and will be advancing to the Central Regional Orchestra Festival in February at Warwick High School. I wanted to take a moment to recognize several of the students who submitted essays to the Patriots Pen essay sponsored by the VFW, Post 7012 in New Freedom. 6 students earned gift cards for the essays, and they are Avery Vickers, Corlin Engel, Sadie Newton, Elsa Swanger, and Lucy Boyle from Shrewsbury, as well as Auburn Swenson from Southern Elementary. Lyra Reinhardt from Shrewsbury was the local essay winner. She also received a gift card and will advance to the next level for judging. And a huge thank you to the teachers that supported their students, Mrs. Irving, Mrs. Mundorf, and Mrs. Walker from Shrewsbury Elementary, and Mrs. Bollinger from Southern Elementary for assisting the students in their essay submissions. Under some reminders, the 3rd marking period and 2nd semester started yesterday. High school will host a scholarship information night on Thursday, January 23rd, starting at 5:30 p.m. Parent-teacher conferences will be on February 12th and 13th. And the middle school will be holding their 6th grade transition night on February 13th at 5 p.m. Schools will be closed on the 14th and the 17th in observance of the President's birthday. We'll be back here then on Tuesday the 18th for the Personnel and Policy meeting. A much anticipated Battle of the Buildings, which Caleb spoke of earlier, will be Wednesday the 19th. We hope to see everyone in the district come out and support your schools as they participate in events and see who will be the 2025 champion. And all proceeds will go to our district's Dollars for Scholars. And lastly, I wanted to wish a happy belated birthday to President Henkel. So let's have a great 2025 or not. The choice is yours.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 6.01, public comment. Just as a reminder, make sure you state your name and municipality, residence, when you get up to speak. And our first speaker is Mr. Brad Doberman.
Hello, Brad Doberman, Shrewsbury Borough, representing Shrewsbury Fire Company this evening. I just wanted to stop in and touch base. It's been a while since I've been here. In I believe it was October of 2022, the school district passed the Volunteer Firefighters and Emergency Medical Services Tax Credit Act. One of the portions of that, what this does for people that don't know, volunteer fire and EMS can get property tax rebates or property tax credits based on how active they are. One of the lines in here, which I've seen in all of the programs we work with, is they have to be a member of that department for the whole calendar year. So this went into effect the end of 2022. So people that joined our department in 2023 really were not reflected in the 2023 tax year. So this is the first, 2024 was the first chance they had to earn these credits. So this is the first chance I really get to report on how successful the program's been. In 2022, when we established the program, my fire department had 18 people qualify for the credits. The next year, 2023, we had 19. This year, we submitted 31. In 2023, we had 8 new members join the department that qualified this year. There were other members that joined that didn't qualify, but those 8 met that standard. Tonight, before I came down, I counted, we have 15 cadets, many of which have joined in the last year and a half. And they really won't see too much benefit from this. The more you earn, the more you benefit. But I just want to take a couple minutes, stop in and say, thank you. I don't want this to be a program where you don't know how it's performing. From my viewpoint, it's performing great. Many of these people, those 8, I've asked them, I'm like, why'd you join? And they're like, I want to help out. I'm like, tax credits? And everybody but one said, no, it's not tax credits. One said, yeah, it's the tax credits. We've seen increased participation. I went back through those 18 names from 2022, and we had people that were existing members that were not on the list. Now they're on the list. I've seen them put forth the effort in the fundraising, going out to calls, more training. So this really is something that this program combined with other programs, I believe it's making a difference. And it took us 40 years to get to this point, declining numbers in volunteering. We're not going to turn it around overnight. So here's a 2.5-year glimpse into this window that it is actually going to make progress. And just one last thing. I don't know if I said it here. I think I did, that Southern York County could set the gold standard for other people to try to strive to. Last week, I got a call from the State Fire Commissioner's office, and I was like, uh-oh, I upset somebody, which is possible. And they're like, what are you guys doing? Like, how did you get to the school district to do this? Because across the state, fire departments are being told no by school districts and counties and local municipalities. And I'm like, they want to help. So I don't know what the answer is, if everybody here is nicer than everybody else in the rest of the state, but we'll take what we can get, and I just thank you. If you have any questions for me, wave your hand. I'm happy to stay. Otherwise, I'm going to go to training.
Does this just benefit Shrewsbury, or is it also New Freedom and Glen Rock? And
New Freedom, Glen Rock, and Jefferson.
do we have numbers on those companies?
I do not. I believe the deadline to be turned in was yesterday, or you'll have those soon.
Okay.
I don't want to speak for you, but I don't have those.
I don't have them right now either. I mean, I'm sure we got them.
They'll be approved at a
If the deadline was
future meeting.
yesterday, yeah.
Soon is flexible.
So, do any of the local municipalities participate?
Yes. So, yeah. Glen Rock has and the criteria they have to meet is the same. I'm pretty sure Glen Rock's the same. New Freedom's now the same. Shrewsbury Borough is the same. Shrewsbury Township is the same. I believe Cadorus Township has a program. I do not know what it is, but I'm told they do. And then York County has one, which is not as hard as this.
Okay, thank you.
Will you wait around for a moment? I just want to make sure Ms. Dennis doesn't have to wait. If you want to wait around just for a few minutes, if anybody else thinks of any other questions.
no problem.
Handle that during the next segment. All right, Ms. Dennis.
I'm Val Brown Dennis. I'm Shrewsbury Township. It's good to see you all. Tonight I'll be talking in reference to novels and curriculum. This I found this morning, a small story related to our larger stories of novels. I breathe to myself as I struggle with my arms full of packages to open the door to the parking garage. Rushing in toward me in the dim light is a huge burly man in a hoodie. I am alone. I am an easy target. But the voice beneath the hood is gentle, as the big man, very near, lifts his face and smiles at me. "Let me help you," he says. I realize that I have jumped to a terrible conclusion. I am ashamed of myself. "Oh, you are so kind," I respond, trying to overcome the ugly taste of prejudice which I abhor. He just laughs, a full laugh, a laugh tinged with something deeper. "Oh," he says, "my grandmother would reach down and shake me if I didn't hurry to help a nice lady like you." "Ah," I say, "you must have had a wonderful grandmother." "Boy, I sure did," he answers, "and I still hear her every day. She still shows me everything good that I'll ever know." As he walks me to my car carrying my heaviest package, we chat some more. He's a coach at a local high school. He has 2 boys of his own, and he obviously adores his wife, Verona. He sees me safely to my car. He reminds me to lock my door. With regret, I watch him walk away. I see that Coach is written in big letters on the back of his hoodie. He certainly is, I breathe. He certainly is a coach. And that dawned on me as we talk about novels and curriculum that they are the foundation of what we do as a school system. And that's what makes them so crucial. As Dr. Reppert recently said, it's crucial that we look at the positives of our English curriculum, the novels we read, the impact on our students, and the curriculum in general. So it's important that we acknowledge those positives. And it's also important, as this story just shared, that we realize that each one of us has unconscious bias or conscious bias, depending on how much we've thought about that. Who did we visualize in a huge burly man in a hoodie? Was this in the city? Was this in the country? The power of the words, the power of novels is crucial for our students to understand as they get ready for adult life. In our diner meetings last year, as we were speaking with each other, one of the main things we talked about there week after week was how we essentially want the same things. We want our students to be ready for adult life. And what does that look like? And how do novels impact that? How does curriculum impact that? This past week, an alumni from here, we were discussing some politics and social issues and education. She said, "Well, who expects anyone to be educated at 18? And as a teacher for decades, that's bounced around in my head for the past few days. Who expects anyone to be educated at 18? And I thought, well, obviously we're always learning in life, but what do we want our students to be ready for at 18? Whether they go right into the work world or training or college or military, what does that look like? And how do we choose those novels? One thing I spoke about with students for many years, September's American Library Association banned book week. So the government classes would look at free speech and they would come talk with me, and the English kids would come talk. And I would say, can your parents choose what novel you read? Well, no. Can they choose your library book? No. And I said, actually they can. Until you're 18, your parents can absolutely choose what you read. And then I would ask, but can your parents choose what everybody reads? And they were like, no. So I think it's so important for us to understand that public education is such a foundation of our American democracy. And that means we have choice. Parents have choice on what novels their students read or don't read, or what parts of curriculum they have or don't have. And that's what's crucial, that we all have those opportunities to choose. Curriculum itself is constantly changing. I worked with all the teachers in curriculum and worked on writing curriculum. Teachers rewrite curriculum every summer. Not always do people know that. And those efforts are crucial as society changes and we look at what's important. In the early 1940s, history curriculums were changed because we wanted to make sure that the United States looked as perfect as possible so that we had more folks signing up to fight in World War II. So our curriculum choices are a reflection of society. So my hope is that we continue to discuss what exactly do we want our students ready to be able to be educated, as this young woman said at 18. How do we want them to be ready? What are we willing to talk about for our local area, for the bigger world, for the students who may live in another place, in a completely different culture? How do we prepare them with that through the novels they read and through the curriculum that they learn? So I thank each of you for working on that and for continuing to think about educating our young people.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 6.02. Are there any comments on any public comment or any additional questions?
Thank you for the update, Mr. Daberman. It's great to hear. We all need a volunteer when we need it, right?
You said it's for EMS too as well, right? Okay.
Thank you.
So, you had said that you increased from 19 to 31. So is that your increase in membership?
That's increase in people that met the criteria.
Gotcha. So that's improving their, how much they're volunteering.
Correct. It was a combination of increased participation and new members. In fact, there were 8 new members in that increase that joined in 2023, became eligible in 2024, and then they got submitted this January.
Okay, very good. So you have seen a positive impact on your response times?
I have watched people, so I send out a spreadsheet with points, hours, like so people can see where they are for this program, and I have seen people go the extra mile so they can get it. And at the end of the day, that's not the goal, but that helps when you're getting volunteers.
Well, sometimes that gets the truck out the door.
Right. Right.
So they don't,
Increased engagement is a goal, sure.
they don't start by wanting this, but they end up having more
Especially if they're
competition.
close, you know, if they're close to the threshold, you
Yeah.
can put in a little bit more
A little
time to get it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think I've told anybody this yet. I'll share it with you guys. But so we had 39 members eligible for tax credits, either in the township, the boroughs. We have people in Hopewell, East Hopewell Township, that they started out as cadets with us, but then bought a house over there, continue to run with us. Those townships, municipalities, we have reciprocal agreements. So of those 39 people, including the school district and the county, it came out to over $73,000 in tax credits and rebates, which is incredible. And we thank you for that.
So if somebody starts with you in 2022, like say February 2022, they wouldn't actually see any result till 2024?
So they'd have to put in all of 2023.
Right.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem quite fair.
It works.
Okay.
It eliminates somebody joining in November, like
Yeah.
being really active November, December, get that tax credit rebate, then you don't see them anymore. But I feel like we should get you an application.
No, not me. Too busy.
The Fire Cadet Program, I'm personally familiar with. How's that? Is that a good number for you guys? Are you looking to expand that?
It might be the highest number we've ever seen right now. Laura, who primarily heads up our cadet program, is actually this past weekend, she was going to be heading to, I think, Long Island or Nassau County to meet with somebody up there about how they're doing their program, but there was illness, so that couldn't take place. We have many cadets, not many, we have several cadets that don't even live in our town, our school district. They drive here from several school districts away to take part in this. So we're fortunate with that. I'm a believer that those cadets, I started when I was 14, those cadets are the future of the fire service. And that's not just a tagline. Last year, our top 10 responders, I sat down last week, asked people how old they were. The average age of the top 10 was 57 and a half. And I was the youngest, lowering the bar. But so the cadets are really important to us, and to have a number like that, and they're engaged. They show up, they help with the maintenance, training. They they're there right now. We're having a pretty good simulation tonight, so yeah, it's the highest number we've seen, and they're good, so.
Do we, when we're, talking with our students about scholarships, I know there are scholarships that colleges will offer to people who've volunteered as EMT, who've been EMTs or who volunteered for fire departments. Are we getting all that information and making sure that our students know about those scholarships? Because that could also increase, that could be a motivator for young people to get involved.
There's actually, I would say yes, with the caveat that there's literally thousands of scholarship opportunities. So part of the role of our school counselors is to get them access to the information, not necessarily know, hey, this particular scholarship. Because we're in the digital age, a lot of them are national, or they're state, or they're regional. Our folks would have a better idea of regional versus, some large-scale national organization that's offering. But yeah, there's a ton of information that's available that kids are interested in. And it's not just firefighting or EMS, it's all kinds of career opportunities that kids might be interested in.
I mean, and one thing sorry.
I was going to say, can I just add to that?
Yeah.
Because through the foundation, the scholarships that we do, while we don't have a particular one for fire company or EMS, we have many, many, many scholarships that look at your community service and your volunteering. So in the Dollars for Scholar application, there is a section on that where you can delineate the amount of time that you volunteered, and then we score it that way.
Okay, so this might help a student qualify for actual district scholarships in addition to all the scholarships that are out there. I mean, one thing I'd say is if I don't know if you're in a better place to evaluate what scholarships your cadet program would most prepare students to receive. What scholarships would kind of be the ones that they would be in the best position to get based on the program that you have. But if you wanted to highlight some of those.
I could look at it off the top of my head, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, just so if that's something that you can find and you want to highlight it, that would be some good information, because you might be in a better place to evaluate, yeah, they qualify for this one, or no, we don't offer the programming needed to qualify for this one.
The ones I did see when we were looking for our daughter, the state has some, but they're for in-state schools, so that would be like the biggest caveat, but there are some available.
Yeah.
For the parents that are listening at home, for your cadet program, what are the ages that are allowed to be a part of that program?
So we're limited by child labor laws. They can join when they're 14 years old, and when they turn 18, they will be considered a crew member.
Okay. And when does the next cycle of that happen? When can?
On their birthday. So we're always accepting applications. We have a monthly meeting just like this.
Right.
Yep.
And who do they reach out to if parents are?
I would recommend their local fire department, but Shrewsbury is always willing to take.
There's also fire camp.
Yes, we also have the fire camp it'll be the end of July this year. And the ages for that, I believe they are 12. I'll double check on that. So they can get experience to what goes on in the fire department before they turn 14. And it's just a little more controlled environment, and that's growing. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item 7, the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second?
All right, motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, that motion carries. Brings us to item 8, education, and I'll turn it over to Mrs. Henkel.
Hey, thank you. 8.01, revisions to the Susquehanna High School curriculum guide for the 2025-2026 school year. I'm going to hand that over to Dr. Reppert.
Thank you, Mrs. Henkel. For the board, 8.01, the curriculum guide. What is in the memo section are the revisions to the wording of each of the courses that are identified in there. As each of you are aware, we have been updating our curriculum maps and putting them into EduPlanet. So the biggest component there is that consistency between the course descriptions, that they do match between both those systems. So that's what you're seeing, and this will give our high school the ability to start their curriculum scheduling and course recommendation process for the 25-26 school year.
I'm going to go ahead and move to approve the revisions for the Susquehanna High School Curriculum Guide for the 2025-2026 school year. May I have a second, please?
Second.
All righty. Does anybody have any discussion or questions?
I just wanted to ask when this would be, after this gets approved, or, you know, when we vote on it, when is it available for parents to be able to look at?
Dr. Sterner? Well, they do have their curriculum night, which is the Thursday, is that the 13th? I believe it is May 13th or 14th. That's when the parents will be introduced to the information of the courses that their children will be selecting for next year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Any nays or abstentions? That motion carries. That takes us to 8.02. These are the revisions, and they're going to be for the middle school. Same thing, curriculum guide. Dr. Ruppert, take that one away.
Thank you, Mrs. Henkel. With the middle school course curriculum guide, there were some updated information regarding course names that were identified in the memo. They will have two courses that they will be offering next year, a flight and space in science, as well as a middle school beginners band. So those were the changes that were highlighted in the middle school curriculum guide. And just to answer your question, in case I would come, Mrs. Hall, that would be available starting the 6th grade curriculum transition night, which will be during parent-teacher conferences.
Thank you.
I move to approve the revisions to the Southern Middle School Curriculum Guide for the 2025-2026 school year. May I have a second, please?
Second.
All righty. And does anybody have any other questions? Any nays or abstentions? That motion carries. That brings us to 8.03, which is additional field trips. Dr. Ruppert, do you want to cover this?
Yes, it will, Mrs. Henkel. We do have 3 additional field trips, 2 of them for Friendship Elementary, 1 to the Maryland Science Center, and 1 to the North Museum of Nature and Science, and the high school to the music department trip to New York City. So those are 3 additional field trips that we're looking to have approved, so their students have those opportunities to participate and attend those.
I move to approve additional field trips for the Friendship Elementary School and Susquehanna High School for the 2024-2025 school year, indicated below. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Does anybody have any questions? I am super interested in the New York City field trip. That sounds so incredible. And the Phantom of the Opera is now back on Broadway, so I will be incredibly jealous.
That's another plug you've put in for that.
I will have to show.
Weber, right?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Any nays or abstentions? That motion carries. 8.04, costs associated with speakers approved through the vetting process. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and move to approve the cost associated with the following speakers that have been approved through the vetting process. First is the Burns Health Education to present their Grow and Know program, and that's going to be to all of Southern York County School District 5th grade students. The cost for that is going to be $820.64 per school. The second is Ryan the Bug Man, Bridge to conduct his Mother Nature's Miracles presentation to all Southern York County School District 1st grade students at a cost of $385 per school. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Does anybody have any questions with this one? Any nays or abstentions? That motion carries. 8.05, it's speakers approved through the vetting process. This is just for information. It's not an action item. You can see the list below. Does anybody have any questions for any of these? And I hope I'm not being too presumptuous to suggest, but we've talked about this in the past. If any board member would like to sit in on any of these classes, Dr. Reppert is always very accommodatable, and he'll be able to help you guys with that. Just give him the schedules and we can do that. Any other questions?
Can, obviously you may not have it right now. Can you send me the dates for these presentations once they're?
Yes, what I will do, President Henkel, is when we know when they are scheduled, I will just send an email to the board.
That works.
Just what the dates of those 6, if you plan to attend any of those.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, moving on. 8.06, novel adoption. I move to approve the following novels: Because of the Rabbits, Charlotte's Web, The Mouse and the Motorcycle, and The Chocolate Touch. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Anybody have any comments or questions about these? They are absolutely adorable, and Dr. Hughes, you're absolutely right. Because of the Rabbit, man, that's a novel that adults need to read. Any nays or abstentions? That motion carries. That brings us to 8.07, Stage 1 Curriculum Maps. Hand it over to Dr. Reppert.
Now I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Hughes.
So we have quite a few this evening that we're going to be approving. The first one that we have is our beginner band, 7th and 8th. And we have Algebra 1, which I'm going to have Kat pull up for us. Just so that you can kind of see, once again, our new format. This will be live once our maps are approved. It becomes live the next day on our EduPlanet website. So any of our community members can go see the new maps as they are. I wanted to pull this one up today, though, because it's a little bit different than what we've done before. You'll notice when you look at the standards, this is a course that is covered in both our middle and our high school. So 7th grade through 12th grade students are taking this, and they're all accountable for the same exam. So our Algebra Keystone exam is given whether you're a 7th grader or a 12th grader taking this course. So one of the things that we did is we had a group of our teachers from our middle and our high school come together, and they looked at the course and they identified where are the additional pieces for our 7th or 8th grade standards that were needed, and they embedded them into the curriculum as they go along. So one of the things that's really nice with this is that it's a comprehensive curriculum that our teachers can use that follows the algebra program, but also puts in additional pieces as needed for our students that are still taking our PSSAs. So this was something that we're really proud of, the joint union between the middle and the high school and the teachers collaborating on this to really see what's the best way to deliver this curriculum and continue to move forward with our algebra program. We also have geometry being approved this evening, English 10, science 4th grade, science 5th grade, EMT, which is a wonderful course, and I was very excited to see how this map was developed and really kind of shows it follows very closely to the guidelines required for certification through the EMT program. And then we also have Health 1 and Health 2.
Thank you so much. I move to approve the following Stage 1 curriculum maps as district-wide master maps. Mr. Letts, do I have to read all of those?
No, as you say, as presented, it's fine.
As presented on the agenda. May I have a second, please?
Second.
All righty, any questions? Dr. Hughes is your woman for that. Any nays or abstentions? That motion carries. Thank you so much, Dr. Hughes, as always. And then that brings us to 8.08. I do not have any other items of business. Does anybody else? All right, back to you, Mr. President.
All right, we'll move on to item 9, finance and budget, and I'll turn it over to our treasurer, Mr. Wilson.
Okay, thank you very much, President Henkel. 9.01, financial reports. These are here for your review. There's a tax collection report, the cafeteria reports for both November and December. A lot of these are November and December since we had such an early meeting in December. There's a lot more here than normal. So I'm going to do the abbreviated balances. I'm going to start with beginning balance November and end the end of December balance. So for the general fund concentration account in November, We started the month with $17,655,908.15, and we ended December 31st with $10,865,546.32. For the investment accounts, in November, we started with $35,976,442.58. And at the end of December, we are at $39,778,503.99. Sue, is there anything in here that you wanted to touch on? No?
No, I think we're
Okay,
pretty
good.
standard.
Okay. So read at your leisure. So 9.02, reviewing the bills for payment. I'd like to make a motion to approve the bills for payment. May I have a second?
Second.
The bills are here. There's obviously a list here for your review, but I recommend paying these. Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. 9.03, exonerations and refunds. I have none. 9.04, budget transfer. I'm going to make a motion to approve the budget transfers as presented here. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions on this? Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. 9.05. This is the annual financial audit for 2023, 2024. This is for your information. There is, obviously, we've got the briefings here. We had a very clean audit. No issues found by the auditor. I don't think I had any messages for the notes for that. No, is there anything you had to add to this?
The only thing I'd like to add is a huge thank you to our accounting department and our folks in the business office, and especially Mr. Carrington, who leads that group. As you noted, we had a clean audit, no findings, and it was both our financial audit and our single audit for any federal funding. So, big endeavor, and they do a great job.
Okay, yep. I was going to say thank you and the entire business team for having things run smoothly. Okay. 9.06. This is for your information. This is information about the LIU budget. This is the operating budget for 2025, 2026. That is here for your review. Does anybody have any questions on this? Do you have anything you want to add to this, Mrs. Green?
Yeah, I just wanted to summarize the changes. It is up about 8.1%. Our contribution, though, is down about $125. So the difference was made up by revenue, and it is based upon enrollment. So ours, we're actually down a little bit, so it's pretty much neutral. But their major areas of increase include maintenance and technology, really from the staffing level. They don't have any new positions in there, but really the cost of hiring and attracting new employees and retaining existing employees. So something similar to what we've experienced when we've changed pay scales in different areas. So I think it is a reasonable budget, but it will be on next month for approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Green. 9.07, investment program guidelines for 2025. I'd like to make a motion to approve the investment program guidelines for 2025 as presented. May I have a second?
Second.
There wasn't much change this year. Here, we did have to change out the bank names from Peoples to Orrstown. And there was a few notes in here just as far as interest rates decrease from previous years. We'll, if there's any adjustments that need to be made, we'll be in touch about those. Anything you wanted to add to that?
No, the big thing, they're pretty similar. The big thing that we do is we make sure we only buy CDs from one of the pools, and that's to make sure that we don't have more than one CD from any particular bank so that we're covered. So we're continuing to stay with Pliget for our CDs and purchases.
Any other questions on this? Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. 9.08, 2025-2026 budget update and discussion of one-time purchases. I'm going to turn this over to Mrs. Green.
So we're just going to have a pretty brief update this month, but we're continuing behind the scenes to work through the 25-26 budget. Couple highlights. The PSERS rate was certified at the beginning of December. So if you remember when we presented in November, we said this is what is projected, but we won't know till December. I'm very happy to report that the rate did go down slightly. So we'll have a net reduction of about $103,000. That's expenditures net of revenue coming from the state for retirement expenses. That is good news. There were many times I sat here and said the rate went up again more than we predicted, so we're always happy when it's the same or lower. So that is good news. We are working on rolling forward enrollment. So one of the areas we do that is York County School of Technology and some of our other placements. Again, pleased to announce that as we look at the roll forward, based upon the numbers we have there and incoming for next year, we believe that we can reduce that area by $61,000. So those are the kinds of things that we're kind of working through right now. So those are a couple examples. On the other front, as you noticed on the agenda, we got our IDEA contracts for this year for 24-25. The money we're getting from IDEA is about $54,000 less than we got last year, and $32,000 less than the budget we have. So we'll be lowering that budget, so that's a negative. And then one of the biggest areas we're working on internally is moving our students, both in grade levels and in programs from this year to next year, and looking at class sizes. So Dr. Reppert, Dr. Bryson, Mr. Carrington and I are meeting with the administrators. So we met with the elementary team. We're working through where we need staffing, what our staffing needs are at different levels. We also met with our secondary principals in a separate meeting, and also then with special education to see special programming where we have programming needs there. So that's really what we're kind of working through right now. And then the final item to talk about briefly this evening is one-time purchases. So we probably started maybe 10 or 12 years ago in the budget process looking at things that are considered one-time purchases. There's two ways to purchase them. When they come up through the budget, you can either put them in the budget, but then that does increase the budget and the overall what you need, or we can look at how are we doing this year. Is it something that we can buy out of this year's budget, and that way we don't have to put that in and make the budget higher for next year. We found that to be to work very well, because there are often times where at this time of the year we know that maybe our salaries are a little lower than what we predicted, those kinds of things. It does seem to be a mechanism that works better. So I'm going to kind of talk through some of the one-time items that we have with the idea that we would then bring those back in February. So some of the things that are being asked by our administrative team, additional security cameras in particular locations. So in a building we may have many cameras, but there's a particular hallway or area where we might need additional. So that's one area. The second would be looking at our vision screeners. So we replaced one of our vision screeners in one of our buildings last year, and it is the new enhanced vision screener. So our recommendation would be that we replace the remaining 4 to that enhanced screener. And then the third item would be a large format printer. So we have one in the district that we kind of share. It is very aged. It's a little quirky, doesn't work sometimes. So really what this is for is we use it to make signs and large posters for events. So one of the things is you walk through the open house that we had, or Battle of the Buildings, or those big large events, curriculum night. We make posters and large placards for those kinds of things. So that's what that's for. The next item, as you remember, with the high school project, we now have the wrestling room over at the high school. It was at the middle school. We don't have a cardio room or a fitness room at the middle school at this time. So the recommendation for that space And we really talked about long-term recommendation for that space would be for a cardio room to use both by gym classes and sports teams. Really to be able to split up into two different spaces for sports teams, but also because we really don't have a space like that for gym classes. So we're asking for potentially to start to build cardio equipment, not to completely finish it, but to start to build two different types of machines. And then, as you remember, we had to remove the floor in there. We would need the special kind of floor that students would need for cardio equipment, for falling and all those kinds of things, and even if they were doing weightlifting or that kind of stuff. So it would need a new floor in there, because as you remember, we just had tile floor because we had wrestling mats down. So that's really what we're looking at. We have most of the pricing. It's, at this point, around $76,000 in total. We will break that out and put it on the agenda for next month. The one item that we don't have 100% costs on is the new cardio room flooring. We have a cost on the flooring, but what we don't have is a cost on prepping the floor, what will be necessary before you put it down. So that's what we're still waiting on, getting that figure. So any questions at this point on any of this? But that will be bringing that forth next month.
One question about the large format printer. This is something we talked about. Obviously, it's not something that we can lease.
Right.
It's,
Yeah, we checked on that.
You know, it's like the big printers, yeah, that's the way you do those, but
Right.
this is not something you can lease.
Yes, that's a good point. The other thing we looked into, Mr. Wilson, is could it be a multifunction machine? Because the one thing I didn't know is, is a copier able to do that, and then we could use it for other copying and things too. There isn't a machine such as that right now that we've been able to find from the vendors that we checked, but yeah, we were kind of looking at those different options.
The, I guess then for that large format printer would be, the ongoing costs would be like the consumables, like
The ink and the paper, the large paper size. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on this one?
That's all right.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mrs. Green. 9.09, meal prices for the 2025-2026 school year. I'm going to make a motion to approve the following meal prices for the 2025-2026 school year. Breakfast for all students, $1.25, no change. Lunch elementary, $2.50, no change. Lunch secondary, $2.70, no change. Adult breakfast, $2.85, or the minimum price required based on a non-pricing breakfast model, no change. And adult lunch, $4.05, again, no change. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this?
Can I just make one comment? As we were reading through it, we do have breakfast listed on there. Breakfast is free in Pennsylvania right now for all students. This would be if there would be a charge for paid breakfast. So I just wanted to make that
So like if you went-
clarification.
So if you went back for a second breakfast,
Well, I have to check. Second breakfast, we usually charge more because we get no subsidy for that. In this case, if they went back to paid breakfast for students, we'd get some subsidy. This would be if they go away from what's called universal free breakfast, and it's based on income, whether you're free, reduced, or full paid. This would be if we go back to that. Right now, we have universal free breakfast, but if we would not have universal free breakfast, this would be the charge. So I just wanted to clarify, because what I didn't want is folks at home saying, well, what do you mean it's free now? It's going to be, not necessarily. It just depends what the state, if the state keeps universal free in, it'll be free. But if we go back to paid, this would be the charge.
I appreciated the second breakfast habit joke. Thank you.
okay, we have a motion, a second. Any other discussion on this? Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. 9.10, tax collector compensation resolution. I'm going to make a motion to approve the tax collector compensation resolution for the year beginning January 1st, 2026. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this? Something we've talked about last couple months. Any other questions on this? No? Okay, any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. 9.11, shredding services, request for proposal to Marco Technologies. I am going to make a motion to award the shredding services request for proposal to Marco Technologies LLC beginning July 1st, 2025, at an annual cost of $906 for 3 years with an option for additional pickups as needed. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and this is a change in vendor with who we're using now because there's a price increase there.
Yeah, so we had a significant price increase, so that's why we went out for requests for proposals. So it would be a change in vendor.
Okay. Any discussion on this? Okay, any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, 9.12. Going to make a motion to authorize the administration to conduct a request for proposals for printing services for the district. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this?
Yeah, what's the printing?
So we print different things, envelopes, the programs for graduation, those types of things.
Can't be done in-house? Or is it just such a big scale of stuff?
It's such a big scale, and honestly, it would probably cost us more to do it in-house than, so we started this, I don't know, it's got to be 15, 17 years ago, because just what you're saying, people were doing it in-house themselves, and then we have the labor and the cost, and then additionally, people were, one building was using one printer, one building was using another printer, so we put most items together. We don't do every single thing, but most items together, and put it out for.
So I guess this would go back to the large-scale printer. Would it be just cheaper to outsource that too?
So one of the things with the posters, it's such a small scale. So we might need 5,000 envelopes, so it does make sense for that printer to set up the print job, and it is cheaper when you do that. But then something like a poster, we might need one poster. So if we were to send that out, it would, a lot of times with the printers, it's the setup charge that if you can spread that again or over 5,000 items, it's cheaper. But if you're spreading it over one, it's not. So that's really kind of the break even as we look at things. Some of it's quality too, like the annual reports are here tonight. The quality on our copiers, we have wonderful copiers, but they're not copiers to do such as these things. The quality's just not there if we would do it in-house.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this discussion? Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. 9.13, other items of business, I have none, so I'm going to return to you, President Henkel.
All right. Moving on to item 10, personnel policy. I'll turn it over to our personnel policy chair, Mrs. Hall.
Thank you, President Hinkle. At your seats, you should see the board policies to be reviewed. Just to go back to our policy cycle, last time we had, we split those because there were a large number of them, and so this represents the balance of them. And they will, the first reading of these policies will be at our February 20th, 2025 board meeting, and a review of these policies will take place at the Personnel and Policy Committee meeting at 5:30 on February 18th. So again, Personnel and Policy on February 18th to do a meeting on that, and then will be brought for our first read at the board meeting on February 20th. And again, just for information only. Item 10.02 is the PSBA Principles for Governance and Leadership. I did want to just share what those principles are, and it is included in our policy 011. From PSBA, the principles are to lead responsibly, act ethically, plan thoughtfully, evaluate continuously, communicate clearly, advocate earnestly, and govern effectively. So just again, for information, it is part of our policy 011. And then moving on to item 10.03, We have a motion on here to be able to authorize Dr. Bryson to be able to provisionally hire our school safety and security coordinator. So with that, I would like to make a motion to authorize our superintendent, Dr. Robert Bryson, in consultation with the board president, the chair of personnel and policy, and the chair of transportation, health, and safety, to provisionally hire the school safety and security coordinator prior to the February 20th, 2025 board meeting. Any such hiring of the administrator shall be subject to a ratifying vote of approval by the school board at the next scheduled meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? Okay. Again, I just want to clarify that this particular role for our school, we've had a job description out for it. I've been recruiting for it. That closed on January 8th, and so we're in that process now. And just again want to thank our administration and Mr. Hash for bringing that up and putting that on there. We're very excited about that. So that's really all I have. Any nays or abstentions? All right, well, that motion passes. And item 10.04, other items of business, I have none, so I'll turn it back to you, Dr. President Hinkle.
Thank you. All right, item 11, buildings and grounds. I'll turn it over to Mr. Hall.
Thank you, President Hinkle. Item 11.01 is for information. We have the buildings and grounds report for November and December. One thing I would like to highlight in that Mr. Buffington pointed out to me, or we discussed in our previous meeting, that the infrastructure for the baseball sign is up by the baseball field. You can, there are some photos in here of it, but you can also drive around and see it. It's on the upper side of the parking lot. It looks like a really great location for it. It's elevated because of the hillside. Probably going to make it a little bit more of a challenge to put the sign itself up there, but they're sure they're up to the task. And I'd like to really give a shout out to our grounds people because they did a great job. It looks super professional. I was impressed. So for doing something in-house, kudos to our in-house team. They did some good work. And it looks like we should have that up and functional by the varsity's first game. So that's good news for the baseball team. Good news for the school, really, all the way around. Moving on to 11.02, the water test report for December is there for our information as well. Moving along to 11.03, the high school project progress report and financial report and timeline. So we are wrapping this baby up, but for anyone who's spent a lot of time in these type of fields, the last 5% always seems like the most difficult of the job. But we're definitely wrapping those things up. We will still have some punch-out lists and things that are going to hang out there for a little while, but we are getting there. Ms. Green, do you think this is a good opportunity to speak about the PennDOT permitting, or would you rather wait for another time?
I think we can briefly talk about that. Did you want me?
Certainly, thank you.
Sure. So as you know, we have a permit for the back drive. We've been working on that. So there were some comments added to the permit after it was issued about the front drive. So we're going to work with PennDOT because we have some meeting notes that said if we didn't touch the front drive, we didn't need to do anything. So we're going to work through that. But the bottom line is, traffic study-wise, we're just going to have to seek PennDOT's guidance on do we need to make any improvements in our front drive. And we have a meeting Randy's setting up right now to kind of talk through that. So at the end of the day, if we are required to make improvements, that is just part of what we'll need to do because they are the entity having jurisdiction on whether we would need to do that or not. But we did not touch the front drive as part of this project. And as we worked through it, that was something, if we were going to look at the front drive, we were going to do with one of the other projects on campus as we got to. Because as we were working through it, as you know, when you're coming on campus to change both drives would cause a really, really interesting situation for us. So we'll work through that with PennDOT, and I'm sure, whatever we need to do will be an improvement for the school. Or we may be able to close out that permit and do it with a later project, but we're working through that right now.
So maybe if they push us too hard, we can have a little negotiating on our flashing signs. Highly doubtful, but we can always try. So thank you.
But if you've seen our new signs, they're also in the report, our new signs down front. They are very bright, and so hopefully they're helpful.
Yes, thank you. Also, we have our financial report, which is up on screen there, which you can see. We are on budget to this point. If you dig in a little bit deeper, you can see that there are some potential things that may come back into our contingencies. So we'll see how that shakes out. But as of right now, it looks like we're going to be within budget, especially as far along as we are in the project. So that's very good. And then on our timeline, you can also see there for your information that we are looking to close things out by the next 6 to 12 months, and that we will do the final top coat and paving in the spring. And the final occupancy inspection happened, and we have the initial letter, but not the actual certificate. Is that correct?
That's what I believe to be true. And as you know, we're in, and we are able to use the front and all parts of the building now. So it's a big milestone.
Yes, that's great. Very big milestone. Okay. Moving on to 11.04, change orders approved on site for Susquehannock High School. This is for our information, but we have, I'm going to dig a little deeper there. So we have a $1,607 change order in GC-065 for the road signs on Fishel's Church Road. This was submitted by Lobar. Second, we have GC-066, a cost associated for providing fire-rated access panels in the electrical room, also by Lobar at a cost of $3,315.83. We have a cost associated with masonry patching in 4 locations for relocating the two-way communicators, was submitted by Lobar. This was due to some desires for the inspector to see them in a different location. That cost is $2,305.94. GC 068, we have the repair of walls at an area way due to the deterioration of existing concrete. That was submitted also by Lobar at a cost of $9,172. Moving on to GC 069, we have a cost associated with repointing the brick above the second floor windows for the main entrance inside of the F corner. This was submitted by Lobar at a cost of $10,000. Moving on to GC 070, we have a credit for unused allowances that was submitted by Lobar Incorporated for a credit of $72,146. GC 07, we have the cost for repair concrete wall in room 0 in U101, and that was also submitted by Lobar at $2,688. Okay, if you can cooperate. We have EC 047. This is a cost associated to relocate area for rescue assistance in stairway 4, submitted by Fairfield Electric at the cost of $6,096. We also have an EC 048, the cost to provide power to the water coolers in the team room, submitted by Fairfield Electric Company for $1,900. Our total change orders for this period is $37,077.84, with a credit of $72,146, with their final district cost at $35,000, at a credit of $35,068.16. So that is for our information, but does anybody have any questions regarding that? Very good, thank you. Moving on to 11.05. I have a motion to approve advertising for bids to replace select sections of the roof at Southern Middle School, Susquehannock High School, Southern Elementary School. This project is part of the capital improvements plan and partially funded by a grant. Do I have a second?
Second.
So this is something that we've discussed several times in other meetings. We were also able to get a sizable grant to help pick up the cost. This is just putting it out to bid and see what it comes back at. So, any questions?
I thought that grant was for Southern Middle School, and I'm confused about the roof repair for the high school. Help me understand that with the new
That's
renovation.
portions of this building, is that correct? That did not get done in the project?
I'll have to clarify, but I believe it's part of admin and sections of the high school. So when we designed the high school and did the high school, remember, we were supposed to be done a couple years before when we were done. So not all, some of the sections of roof, we knew we had more life in them. Because if our roofs aren't like at your house where you generally, most cases, replace your whole roof when you're doing it at home. Ours are in different sections. So some of our roof sections are 20 years old, some are 10 years old, some are 5 years old. They're different sections. So there are pieces that are coming due for replacement. What we found historically is when we do roofs, especially on campus, if we can do a bunch of sections together, so part of it, that's why we're kind of doing the 3 schools, we usually get in economies of scale. So my understanding is they'll do it as different pieces where we can see the prices, so then we can decide if we're doing it all or so we'll put alternates and things in there. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, because they're bringing on the big equipment to get up there and to, kind of like we were talking about printing earlier, bringing it here and stuff. If we're only bringing it once, we'll get a deal on it.
I think it's really helpful to have that explanation, because anybody reading this, the high school, we just did that.
Right.
No, this is areas that weren't replaced as part of the project. These are areas that are actually quite old,
Right.
that were not covered by the project. So that's-
Well, there are at least areas that during the process of the project, the timeline of the process of the project came due.
Yeah.
Not necessarily prior, if, the
Right.
delays created it that now they're. now
Right,
they
they're
need
not
to be
like
done.
new roof that we put on in the project, and
No,
now
correct.
it's
Right.
old roof. Yeah.
And some of it, let me just say this because it's a little bit out of my bailiwick, but some of it, as I've learned over the years, I remember probably not that many years ago, less than 10 years ago, we replaced the parts from 1952. They were holding up. So some of it's their age, but some of it's also when we have our roof inspectors, which we have quite frequently come. When the roof inspectors come, it might say on the chart that it's due to be replaced in 2024, but if it's still doing well and the roof inspectors say that everything's fine, we're not going to necessarily replace it. So some of it's a balancing act between what the inspectors say and what the age of the roof is. We don't just hit that magic, it's so many years old and we replace it.
Well, and different materials age at, different rates.
And slopes and all those kinds of things, yeah.
We still have stone on some of our roofs.
It makes you wonder why maybe.
But
we
they
ever left it.
lasted.
Right.
That's right, it makes you wonder why we ever left it.
Right.
Usually that's how it works. The older quality stuff, it lasts longer.
Okay, so do I have a second? I got that a little out of order, but,
Yep, we have a second.
okay. So any other discussion? Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. Moving on to 11.06, use of facilities, which we have none to report. Moving on to 11.07, other items of business, which I have none. Moving back to President Henkel.
All right. Next is 12, Committee Report, Transportation, Health, and Safety. I will turn it over to Mr. Hash.
Thank you, President Hinkle. Under Transportation, Health, and Safety, 12.01, we have the Student Transportation Report. During the month of December and November, November was 10 reported stop arm violations. Out of those violations, 1 was caught on camera, 9 were captured by driver observation. In December, there were 5 reported stop arm violations. Out of those violations, 2 were caught on camera, 3 were by driver observation. A note about the transportation coordinator, depot manager, Southern L administrators, and a pilot group of drivers are partnering together on redesigning the misconduct report for to make sure all information is included to help resolve concerns. The pilot group is scheduled, I think that date was changed, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Due to illness.
Scheduled to meet soon to review the current process. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yes, they were scheduled to meet this week. I believe it's been rescheduled to next Wednesday due to illness and drivers we had to cover, so.
During the November and December, First Student planned and organized 59 athletic and field trips with buses and drivers and vans, and 19 activity bus runs. So we appreciate their dedication, not only getting students here and back home, but also all the extracurriculars. And 12.02, other items of business, I have none. Back to you, President Hinkle.
All right. Moving on to item 13, Athletics and Extracurricular. I'll turn it over to Ms. Doberman.
Thank you, President Hinkle. Item number 1301, the athletic report. The Warriors are off to another strong winter season. All the winter teams are approximately halfway through their regular season. Here are some current highlights. For girls soccer, congratulations to Neve Fanning for being named All-State by the Pennsylvania Soccer Coaches Association. Warrior competitive cheerleading, congratulations to the Warrior competitive cheer team for finishing YAIAA runner-up in the large squad division. The Warriors also qualified to compete in the PIAA District 3 Championships. Girls basketball is currently sitting 3rd place in a very tough YAIAA Division 2. They are ranked 5th in PIAA District 3, and they are currently in position to qualify for the District 3 Championships. Wrestling is currently tied for 1st place in the YAIAA Division 2. Several of the Warrior wrestlers have picked up notable wins over ranked opponents, putting them in good position as they move towards the sectional championships. As for swimming, both the Warrior boys and girls swim teams are off to a strong start. Both teams are currently sitting in 2nd place at the YAIAA Division 2. And unified bocce ball has served as a powerful addition to the athletics program here at SHS. The Warriors pick up a win on their first home match of the season last week. The program has a positive impact on both students and staff and continues to boost the culture in the building. And item number 1302 are other items of business, and I have none, so back to you.
All right, thank you. Item 14, other business. Anyone? All right, moving on to item 15, 15.01, Legislative Council. Mrs. Hall.
All right, perfect. So last Tuesday, all new and re-elected members of the State House of Representatives were sworn into office for the 2025-2026 legislative session. Our own district reps, Kate Plunk and Mike Jones, are now sworn in and excited to get to work improving the quality of life for children and families across the Commonwealth. Representative Klunk has opened an opportunity for all students who may have questions about state government to ask her anything at all through her Kids Ask Kate initiative. This is the submission for a short video using WeTransfer.com, asking 3 to 5 questions and emailing them to Kate at kclunk169@pahousegop.com. So to participate in Kids Ask Kate, a parent or a guardian must complete an electronic consent form found on her website. The deadline to submit is January 31st. For more information, check out Kids Ask Kate on repclunk.com. Federally, Tuesday this week, January 14th, the House of Representatives passed Bill H.R. 28, protecting equal opportunity in athletics for women and girls. When the PA General Assembly comes back into session later this month, there'll be information regarding the governor's budget proposal and grant funding opportunities set to be released early in February. The House and the Senate will return to session in Harrisburg on January 27th, and more to come at the February board meeting.
Thank you. 15.02, York County School of Technology, Mrs. Doberman.
Unfortunately, I have no report because the meetings fall after our meetings, and December was the same day as our meetings, so I have not been there since November. So I will go next week.
LIU 12.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. York Adams Tax Bureau.
No report.
No report. Southern York County School District Foundation, Mrs. Hall.
Favorite subject. So the Southern York County School District Foundation Board of Directors just met this past Tuesday evening and discussed scholarship due diligence for the spring, and very much looking forward to every award possible for all eligible hardworking seniors at SYCSD. ChapterNet opened for applicants on Friday, January 3rd, and will close Monday, February 3rd. Applications are available on sycsdf.dollarsforscholars.org. Click on the Students and Parents tab, log in, and you're well on your way to being matched for every foundation scholarship you qualify for. If you have questions, there's another chance to attend one more scholarship information night, as Dr. Reppert was saying earlier. That's going to be held at Susquehannock High School next Thursday, January 23rd at 5:30 p.m. And the Foundation and Alumni Association are hosting the 14th annual Battle of the Buildings fundraiser. We were a little late, so I'm sure that you announced that, Mr. Ross. That'll be on Wednesday, February 19th. Doors open at 5:30 for pregame activities at Susquehannock High School's gym. And thanks to the incredible support of the community, we've been able to fund scholarships for Susquehannock students and alumni programs for years. And any companies interested in sponsoring this event, multiple sponsorships are available at different levels. So the sponsorship includes your company logo on the Foundation's Battle of the Buildings website, webpage, I should say, and on signage the day of the fundraiser. So please visit sycsd.org/foundation to submit the sponsorship form, and thank you ahead of time. Every dollar counts. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Item 15.06, other business. Anyone? All right, moving on to 16. Item 16.01, the student activities report for November and December 2024 is attached for your information. 16.02, we have a few resignations and retirements, which are there for your information. 16.03, there's a spring student teacher placement for spring 2025. Ashlyn Miller will be placed with Lily Grove, cooperating teacher at Friendship Elementary School during the spring 2025 semester. Other items of business, I have none. Anyone else? All right, moving on to item 17.01. I will turn it over to Dr. Reppert.
Thank you, President Henkel. Taking a look at our numbers for enrollment, home education, homeschool education, 218 students. Outside cyber, we're at 78 students. Our digital academy, currently 2 students, and our Lincoln Edge cyber program, we're up to 20 students.
Thank you. Item 17.0.
Sorry, I have one quick question.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Since we have students in York Tech, should they be represented in this sort of, I mean, it's just a question.
I can't speak to that. I just know in my tenure sitting here, we represented those. I believe if that's something the board would like to have as a total number of York County School of Technology students that are represented, we can add those.
Yeah, I mean, my only thought, we also have students in LIU placements and other placements. So when just the origination of this was just more about where we have cyber students, just because we pay for that, that's school choice. I'm not opposed to it, but there are other placements besides York School of Technology.
Right, yeah. I don't know, should we account for those here, just so we know? Because, I mean, we do, that is a payment that we send to York Tech for our students to go there.
We do. I mean, the only thing I would say too with that, I mean, again, it's not a problem putting here, but it's probably going to be virtually the same number each month. And we don't, some of these other ones change, like part of it is they change. Students move from, so again, we can put it on there, but it's probably going to be the same.
Yeah, it's the
same number from.
No,
Maybe at least as an annual report on that number, and yeah.
Right, we can do that, definitely do that, yep. We can do that as part of, I think in October or whatever month we talk about enrollment and enrollment here and other places, we can do it there.
Item 17.02. I don't think I have any meetings to report between December and now, do I? No. Okay, just want to make sure I wasn't forgetting any. All right, a Personnel and Policy Committee meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025, in the Thomas R. Hensley District Administration Center, beginning at 5:30 p.m. And the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education will be held on February 20th, 2025, in the Thomas R. Hensley District Administration Center, beginning at 7 p.m. And I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Bryce.
Thank you, President Hinkle. Real quick, I'll try to fill in the blanks with those that I had on my list that I'm not sure I heard tonight. If we double recognize, my apologies, it's okay, you get double recognition. Couple of items. Wanted to thank JA, which is Junior Achievement Programming in York County. For those out there that may not know about the programming, they offer programming to all school districts across the county and actually across the state. We utilize most of their programming. Two in particular I'd just like to recognize because they were recent. In December, we had Your Economic Success, which is a middle school programming on personal finance, their skill based on what it takes to be successful, collaboration, communication, those types of skills. Big thank you to Mr. Wilson and Mr. Holly, who were both there volunteering for the day in December. It's always a great time to spend with the kids and just appreciate you guys' support with that. Tomorrow we have the STEM Summit, which Jay also organizes. Not sure who's volunteering at that one. And I'll actually be on my way to Pittsburgh for a college visit, not my own, but my young man at home. So won't get to see anybody that's there, but thank you. I know many of you on the board have volunteered for that in the past, so appreciate that. And I know they love the volunteers because they're always looking for help. Recognition to our local Southern York County Rotary Club. They came over the holidays and helped serve lunches to students. So big thank you to them. And also, they have Student of the Semester recognition coming up tomorrow. So I congratulate 7th grader Julian Hershey and 8th grader Samantha Depew for getting that recognition. And I know they know about it already because they're planning on attending, but I don't want to steal the thunder of Rotary for tomorrow morning. Also want to recognize Friendship Elementary School. If you recall, they were the first school in the state of Pennsylvania to earn high reliability schools certification status. And just recently, they became the first school to reach level 2, which would make sense. They're the first going through the process. And there's a lot of work behind that. I won't spend the next hour discussing that, but I think it's a lot to celebrate for the staff who are actively and daily engaged in high reliability schools work and the professional development that goes along with that. and our other 4 schools are in the process. And of course, utilizing what Friendship did and the process they utilized to be successful and actually be audited as a school and earn that certification. So that'll be upcoming here in the next couple months, the other 4 schools. Law Enforcement Appreciation Day was on the 9th of January, so just recently. So perfect time to recognize all the hard work from Sergeant Smuck and Chief Mendez and the difference they make on a daily basis for our kids. And Officer Smuck just shared with me today how shocked he was that he had high schoolers coming up to him, just showing their appreciation and sharing how much they enjoy having him around and having discussions with him. So I want to thank both of them. And obviously, Dio has been here for many years and spends maybe more time at the middle school. But I know all of us are aware of the relationships he's building with not only the kids, but parents as well. College and Career Lunch Fair also just took place on the 14th, where we had military and law enforcement all represented with different tables. So something we don't often think about, what the construction project at the high school allows us to do. Events like that where we have spaces where kids can have lunch, and we also are not cramming in additional tables for these other, whether it be colleges or law enforcement or military recruiters. They're now out around the Commons area, and I thought it was a wonderful way for kids to get out and engage with potential job opportunities. Also, a thank you to our continued partnership to Shrewsbury Giant Food, Giant Food in general, but the Shrewsbury store is again partnering with us in support of feeding school kids. So information's gone out where you can donate your leftover dollar as a part of Feed the Kids. But as important, Giant's also matching that donation up to $100,000. So as you're going through the checkout at Giant, if that's where you shop, keep us in mind. All of that is benefiting the kids of Southern York County School District. And lastly, I'll finish up because all my other items were covered by everybody here this evening. Again, thank you to each one of you for the time, commitment, and your love of the district. Appreciate it. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Item 18, new business. Does anyone have any new business? No? All right. Then 19.01, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any nays or abstentions? We are adjourned.